Hi everyone, I'm Sherry Pooley, the creator of Headache Hat, and I can't believe it's been 6.5 years since we launched the product. And I guess, as a migraine sufferer and headache sufferer myself, I knew that there would be a need for this product, and I'm happy to see that it is helping other people, that there is definitely a need for a product like a great ice pack that really hits your pain points and that you can use with medication or without. So in that time though, I've received a lot of questions on, just the basics about the Headache Hat, questions on how to use it, general questions. So I wanted to make a new video to go through those questions, and hopefully it'll help you if you are going to be potentially purchasing a Headache Hat, or if you've had one for a while and you just have some questions, that have come up in the meantime. First question. Does the ice come inside the wrap? Yes, it does. So you have, in a full Headache Hat, you have 3 rows of ice, and the ice already comes fully loaded in there. You will probably notice that there's an opening on one end. Sorry for the loud Velcro. And that's where we put the ice in. It's also, you can see the ice cubes are in here. It's not so easy to get the ice in there. We have created a special tool to do that. All Headache Hats are assembled by hand. These cannot be like mass produced. They're all assembled in the United States. We have a tool that we've created to kind of make it easier to get the cubes into the rows. Now, if you, because second question on here, can I put more ice in here if I want? If you want to buy ice, you can on either Amazon or theheadachehat.com. You can buy these little ice packets, and you can put maybe 2 more in each row. I wouldn't do much more than that because you don't want to destroy the sewing and destroy the seams, but you can do that, and you can open up and just slide it in there. So yes, the cubes are already pre-assembled in there. They can move up and down slightly, but that's really for your benefit, so that, say, if you want to make a little space and it's not touching your ear, you can do that. And it also is, you should be reminded that you want to get these nice and neat in place before you store it in the freezer, and keep them flat when they're in the freezer. But all comes together in there. What comes in the package also is the storage bag. That's another question I get, what comes with it. So the storage bag comes with the package. You can keep your Headache Hat in here. I will tell you, I'm a bit lazy. I kind of just store my Headache Hat in the freezer like this. I usually put all of them together in one row so that I can keep it away from food and they kind of stay together. But I know some people who go as far as even putting a freezer bag around it, not even just this bag, but also a freezer bag, or just doing a freezer bag. So that really is up to you. You'll kind of figure that out as you go. Another question is, how long does it stay cold? So it stays cold for about 2 hours. It's, kind of varies probably on your temperature, but I find that I put it on, I'll have it on for about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and then I'll notice that it starts to get warm, and I'll flip it over to the other side. Talked about this on my other videos, and for whatever reason, that side is cold and you get another good half an hour out of it. So approximately 2 hours. Now, if you're talking about the Halo, which is the 2-row version of the Headache Hat, then it's going to stay cold a little less longer, but you're still going to get a good hour out of this. Next question, how long does it take to freeze? How long do I need to leave it in the freezer? So I have to say, the first time I get a Headache Hat, for whatever reason, it takes a little longer to freeze. So I usually end up putting it in for like just the whole day, just leave it in there. After that, it should take about 6 hours. I think, this is why people have multiple Headache Hats. Like, I have a whole freezer full of them, but that way, while one's refreezing, I'm using another one, and it keeps it really simple. So that's about the time length that it should take to freeze. The next question is, how long will my Headache Hat last? I do get this question a lot. I have to say the answer really varies based on your use. I know if you're using it like once a week, twice a week, you're going to get a year out of it or so. Some people have it more than a year. But if you're using it every single day, then, you might get anywhere from 5 months to a year. It really depends. You have to be careful, make sure that every time you're folding it nicely, putting it in the freezer. How should I put this on with the hook and loop? Well, most people are going to put it on with the hook and loop in the back, because most of the time, you're going to have your headache all around here. Now, if you get a lot of pain in the back, you can certainly readjust this so that the hook and loop is in the back. really up to you. In fact, some of the questions I get about, wearing the Headache Hat, some of my tips are, I like to move it around a lot. I feel like that is another distraction from the pain. I just kind of keep moving it around slightly. I'm going to get my hair all crazy if I really do what I do when I have a migraine, but that's what happens. And it's just part of the impact of it, I guess, with the distraction and the cold as you put it on those different points. It also helps me adjust to the cold. So I kind of slightly move it. If it's a day that I'm like not tolerating it, I just kind of slightly move it. I still don't really bother to use the fleece cover most of the time. So that's on how you wear it. Yeah, of course you can wear it so that the hook and loop closure is in the front. If you're feeling more of your pain in the back, then you can just wear it so the hook and loop closure is in the front. So that's on how to wear it. Certainly, you can still wear it around your neck. This is the halo, the 2-row version. It's the difference between a Headache Hat and a halo. That's kind of one of those questions. The halo has 2 rows, as you can see, and the hat has 3. And you can wear them around your neck, either of them, obviously. You put it there. That's to me, this is a great tool. I've got a couple of problems with my neck, and so this definitely helps when things are going bad, and sometimes I just kind of leave it around my shoulder like that too. So storing it in the freezer, I want to just point out a couple of other tips. I mean, people have asked me, well, we already talked about the smell, but about the cubes moving. So when you're done with your Headache Hat and it's no longer frozen, you want to take the time to really adjust those cubes to the right place. Don't leave them, maybe just like when I'm done, I like literally throw it off my bed. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I'm falling asleep now finally. I'm not really taking care of it at that point. I mean, when you go and put it back in the freezer, just make sure that all the cubes are in line, and then you flatten it back out. Make sure that you fold it nicely and put it in the freezer this way. Because if you put it in when they're all kind of messed up, then obviously that's what you're gonna get out of it. They shouldn't move that much, but some of the materials over time could stretch, and there's 2 kind of types of materials that I'll talk about in a bit, and some of them can move a little bit more. So you just wanna make sure that it gets to that right spot before you're freezing it. Now, the beauty of having those cubes move, of course, is that you can play with it when it's on. So I always talk about how I don't want it touching my ears. So I will have a little space that I make right there. So there's no cube right there. So it goes over my ear and I don't have that freezing cold right on my ear. Another questions I've been asked about the material, and people will say, well, I think it might be a fake because the material doesn't seem the same. So there are 2 different materials that are used. And again, this comes down to supply. I wish I could make more Headache Hats, but we're kind of limited on both, like I said, these are handmade. And the materials, obviously, these materials come from different places, mainly China. I mean, who knows, maybe after all this, we'll start making more of our own spandex. But there's 2 kind of forms of it. One is more like a cotton lycra polyester blend, and it's a little more dull. And then there's one that's, I don't know if you can really see the difference, but there's one that's kind of a little more shiny-ish. The difference isn't, huge. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. That was the same kind. This is the other one. It's a little more shiny-ish that you can see. And this one has components of rayon and nylon in addition to the spandex. So it's slightly different, but again, they're about the same. We have to interchange based on what's available. So those are the materials. Of course, sensitivity to light, you can wear it over your eyes. I think everybody is well aware of that. You're gonna put it where you need it. But I really feel like one of my biggest tips is just that ability to move it around, like get it on there and then really, when that first numbing sensation starts, get it where, kind of move it around. Okay, that feels good. Oh, okay, that spot now, let me get that. And then if you wanna move that cube away from your ear, go ahead and do that. So the coldness, one of the questions is, it's too cold for me when I put it on. So as many of you know who have been getting Headache Hats all these years, we used to include a fleece barrier that would go between your head and the Headache Hat. And this was just our little fleece. The problem that came up with the fleece recently is really it stalls production. The cost of the fleece is has gone up, and it's also the cutting of it has caused a lot of stoppage. The cost of cutting it has really been increased, and so I kind of feel like you can grab any type of barrier. You can grab a washcloth or whatever you have at home and just put it in there between your head and the Headache Hat, and you can wear that for a couple minutes and then take it off. I can get you a fleece cover for a low cost. We don't have a lot of them, like I said, but email, and contact us if you really desire to have that fleece cover. The ones I get are, can kids use the Headache Hat? Well, I think you need to check with your doctor first because, everyone has a different tolerance. My son has started using ours. Usually he started with the little halo, the thin ice halo, and now he loves the 2-row headache halo. And he started when he was about 9 wearing that ice halo, and now he likes the bigger one. He's 12. Probably at some point he might like the regular Headache Hat, but definitely check with your physician before giving your child a Headache Hat for their head pain. My daughter, who's 7, and she uses it for like every boo-boo she has, and it's soft and it's nice. And I mean, we've said this before, can it be used on other body aches? Of course. It's an ice pack. It's a great ice pack. Everyone in the family always wants to use the Headache Hat. And so, there's so many good things that you can do with this. I really do. I throw it on my hips all the time. I throw it over my shoulder all the time, as I mentioned before. So yeah, lots of things to do with the Headache Hat. Kind of to round out some of my other tips, when I'm going to bed and I've got a pretty bad one coming on, and I usually take a few Headache Hats to bed with me up to bed, I find just a little lunchbox cooler. I happen to have my daughter's cooler here with me for lunch today, but someone actually suggested that Headache Hat should make some coolers. Probably a good idea down the road. But stuff an ice pack in there along with your 2 or 3 other ice packs or Headache Hats, and you'll be good for the night. Just reach in and grab it. And like I said, I just throw them off after I use it, but then neatly put it back in the freezer the next day. So that, along with the movement of the Headache Hat and that distraction from the pain with that moving around, really are my tips. People ask if they can sleep with it. I guess, that's really your call. I love sleeping with it. It helps me fall asleep. I love the feeling of the pressure of these ice cubes actually pushing on my pain points. I like that. That's why I designed it that way. That's why they're not mushy. But it's all about your own tolerance and what you like. So if you don't like the feeling of laying down with it, then, that might not be for you. I hear from a lot of people that it helps them to fall asleep. I hope that you guys have gotten something out of this video, learned a little bit, or, maybe thought of some new questions that you need to ask. Go ahead and feel free to send along your questions. And I hope that the product continues to help you. We'll continue to do our best to make as many of these as we can, and continue to have sales when we can as well. So be on the lookout and sign into the Headache Hat Facebook page so that you can hear everything about sales and offers coming up. Thanks.